Welcome to Narratives Leadership Story Talks, where great leaders go beyond the bottom line to create lasting impact. Join hosts Jerome and Julienne Ryan as they uncover the stories behind real-world challenges, offering practical insights to help you lead with empathy, authenticity, and purpose. Each episode dives into how leaders use storytelling to build trust, foster connection, and inspire action. Whether you're navigating workplace dynamics, driving change, or building high-performing teams.
Values that are applied to all of our employees that we live. They're not posters on the wall. We measure them through 6-month surveys. We award them. We incentivize them. We're doing right now our 10 days of appreciation at the end of the year, where we're celebrating 10 people in each value and how they displayed that specific value in action this year. And we award them and recognize them and celebrate them. So I think it's really important that you see this in your day-to-day culture. And then we have our leadership competencies, and that goes back to instilling trust, because you have to trust your leader, you have to trust your employees, whether you're in a physical space, whether you're in a hybrid space, or whether you're in a remote space. Like, you've got to create systems and structure to trust people to do their jobs and to be clear on what your expectations are of them in any space. And I think what's missing for people when they make that decision is, how are they creating that trust with their employee that they're able to execute and do their work regardless of where they sit. And for some organizations, that's really hard to do based on the work that they do. And for other organizations like ours, it was something that we saw a possibility and we thought we could lead the way with. And we've just kind of we've stayed steady in that state.
Welcome back, everyone, to Leadership Story Talks. We just heard from Jim O'Gorman, who was on episode 180. Jim O'Gorman is the Chief People Officer at a company called Included Health, which is one of those high-growth companies involved with healthcare and trying to just really improve our healthcare system. And I encourage everybody to go and check out the full interview. That's episode 180 at narrative.com/podcast, because it was really filled with amazing nuggets of wisdom and also very practical things that you could be doing in your own company or thinking about at least, including the example that he gave in terms of rewarding and recognizing and celebrating people in the company who have shown how they live the values of the organization. They take 10 people and for 10 days they celebrate those people at the end of each year. So I wanted to bring that up today because I feel like that's something that you and I talk a lot about, is, what are these, how to be an organization that is values driven and why you need to be that, and how stories can help to do that. That's a big part of our work, certainly these days. So go ahead. I know you're wanting to say something.
I enjoy. Thank you. We have to model what we preach,
Yeah.
Jerome. So, what I enjoyed about him is he walks his talk, and he really used a lot of his experience to repurpose, like, where is the potential, where's the possibilities, and how we're approaching the people part of our organization. And I've seen it exist in projects in other companies, which is so important to share right now, because one company did something similar. They did a national appreciation initiative using stories, which I was part of. And every week they gathered on their team to share a story of appreciation, not just about themselves, but what they noticed about somebody else and how it really connected to the work. I remember this one man did the most amazing story that was so simple. It was about a colleague picking up the phone and saying, "I've got you. I heard you had this project. It's going to be a little bit of the project from hell, but don't worry. I will support you. We'll make time. We'll work together to figure some things out." And what they were doing, they were layering it. So each department was sharing stories and then playing it forward. And then they would pick the next ones and they would play it forward till they got to the best stories of that quarter. And they did it for every quarter. Because, sometimes at work, things you did that was great is ancient history everybody's forgotten about. So they kept layering it and layering it and layering it till they got to the awards. Now, everybody did an amazing thing. I'm not saying everybody gets a trophy, but everyone got to be recognized and it got instilled in the culture. It wasn't just a one-time only situation. They had so
Mm.
many opportunities to use those snippets and those stories in so many ways and keep them alive. And then I'm sure, like everybody else, we have a new year, and then we also need to create new stories, but not to forget them. So I think, like the Joe was saying, it's not just posters on a wall when you come through
Mm.
the hallway. It's what can you do to make it live on
Yeah.
and show these are things that are true and they're sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah. Two things that brings up as well for me, which I wanted to talk about here, is in the episode, Jim talked a lot about the value of authentic storytelling,
Mm,
and sort of, with that it's the responsibility. Those are the words he used, of the leaders to not just have stories about, when they were perfect and when they hit all their goals, etc. But really that vulnerability, and embrace that vulnerability, because that creates trust, which is the second thing that I thought was really striking about that episode. So authentic storytelling and trust. And then I think I wanted to add to your example with my own, because it reminded me of a project that we did where, again, talking about how do we bring these values to life for our employees specifically. Start with the employees, which I thought was really interesting. Another healthcare company, Cigna, big company, and talking about how do we bring these to life so that our employees are more engaged by these values and kind of understand what our mission is, what our purpose is, not in some, like you said earlier, corner of the company or website, but in something, how do we behave every day, and how do these values show up, and why are they so important to our business? There's a stat out there that shows that businesses that are values driven perform better than those that aren't.
mm,
And how do we know that they're values driven? It's by telling stories about how employees live those. And that's exactly what we did with Cigna. That was our mandate, was to find and help people craft stories around the values of the organization. And then what they did, which I thought was really smart, is that we made videos of
mhm,
some of the people and their stories. And then those videos were distributed. And to your point earlier, it may have seemed early on that we were celebrating a few dozen people, right? Because that's what we had. We had a dozen videos of the best stories that best represented the value. But then by distributing these and letting other employees comment on the
mhm.
stories and give feedback on the stories, that included everyone. And what happened was not sort of like, oh, look at Joe, he's a great storyteller. I could never do that, or I don't live by those values. It's actually the opposite that happened. The comments were all, here's how I live through these values. Here's my story. How can I tell my story? And more people wanted to tell their story. And so they just added spontaneously videos. It almost worked like social media
Mhm.
internally, right? People were
Oh,
just making
fantastic.
videos with their phones and adding them to the roster, to the library of stories that had been created there. So I think this is really an important piece of what we do and how we work. But in general, I think for lots of organizations that are wondering, it's all very well and good to have values. And you tell us, yes, we got to live by our values, but how do we show that? It's not that complicated. You find the people that have those stories. All you have to do is just ask them, tell me a story about a time when you saw our values in action. It's just
Yeah.
as simple as that. And then you listen, you sit back, you listen, and then you make a video and you distribute it. That's it. It's just like when you're inspired by something and you open up your Instagram or your TikTok or your Facebook or whatever it is that you prefer, and you put it up there because you got inspired by it. It's the exact same kind of human impulse that we're essentially leveraging here. We're saying that why wouldn't it work the same way in an organization, just like we live everyday life and the tools we use in everyday life.
Absolutely. And it's a repurposing of the expression talking behind somebody's back. Well,
Yeah.
this is a good excuse to do it and show I've been looking at you, I've been listening, I've been watching you, and let me just tell a few others about you.
Mm,
And how amazing is that? And there's always incredible ripple effect. I've seen it in action in
yeah.
people I work with, as well as in our client groups too.
Yeah, exactly. It's worth shouting out those behaviors that you see that remind you of the values of the organization and remind you maybe of your own values, and then saying, "Oh yeah, that person did a great job with that."
Hmm.
So anyway, I really encourage everyone to listen to the episode because we just focused on one aspect of the interview, but there were really so many things in that interview that I think people could take away. So I encourage everybody to go and check that out. And once again, I'm here talking about storytelling and you've talked about how you've seen these things in action through our work, essentially. So I'm going to encourage everyone to look at that on our website, narrative.com and narrativ.com. Find the resources that you need there and reach out to us. If there's any initiative that you're working on right now that has to do with the values and culture of your organization, and you're wondering how you might be able to inject storytelling into it, that is what we do. So reach out to us and ask us any question. Honestly, I'm always happy to get an email and answer the email. No strings attached if that's where it goes. Of course, if it leads to work, I'm even happier.
just,
But I'm
just
always
keeping
happy
it
to.
real there.
I'm always happy to answer those questions. That's true, though. I always answer the questions, and so please don't hesitate. It can just start with a very simple question. You don't have to worry about
Yes.
anything.
And
So
he's
there you
a
go.
very good listener.
Yeah.
Listen, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks very much, Julienne, for being my wonderful co-host as well, and as well as you all listeners listening to us. Really appreciate you, and look forward to the next one. And as always, go and visit narrative.com/podcast for our library of podcasts, and leave a review wherever you can, wherever you find your podcasts. Subscribe wherever you find those podcasts as well. That way you'll never miss an episode. And we look forward to hearing from you. All right. Thanks very much. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
For more information on the narrative listening and storytelling method and how it can help your business, go to narrative.com.